I'm waiting for that one stolen kiss that leads to another. Kind of reminds me of the show Girls, but less messy. I was like, wow, this is a crazy way to start a romance book. We can tell it's gonna happen. I could not get enough. Very swoon-worthy. Oh my gosh. Makes my heart go pitter-patter. Hi friends, it's Shuba and welcome back to my channel. I am very excited to start this series. This is a series that's been on my bookshelf for almost a year now. Actually, this time last year on Independent Bookstore Day, which is coming up, I accidentally bought the second book to this series, which is why then I had to purchase the first book. And then I was gifted the third book, which is coming out on May 13th by the publisher. So I decided, why not read all three in one video and let my heart break and let my heart recover again. The series that I'm talking about is the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan. The first book is Before I Let Go. The second book is This Could Be Us. And then the third book is Can't Get Enough, which comes out May 13th. I was gifted this book on NetGalley by the publisher Forever. So thank you to the publisher. I am looking forward to reading all three books. I've heard nothing but good things about this series and this author. I've heard she's just an author that tugs at your heartstrings, similar to Abby Jimenez, and she can just make your emotions go on a roller coaster ride, and I'm here for it. I feel like lately I've been wanting to read more emotionally character-driven stories. I'm here solely to read these books because I want to feel things. I want to laugh, I want to cry, and I think I'm going to get that with this series. I've heard that these are interconnected standalones, so what that means is you don't have to read them in order, but this first one, Before I Let Go, is going to have characters and introduce us to them that are going to be the main characters of This Could Be Us and then Can't Get Enough. It's sort of like a sneak peek teaser to what I can expect in the next books, and every interconnected standalone series I've read, I've loved just because I already know a little bit about the character before we dive deeper into their story. This first book, Before I Let Go, is a second chance romance, and it centers around Yasmin and Josiah. They were supposed to be the loves of each other's lives. They fell in love, they got married, they have 2 children, but it's been 2 years since they had a divorce. There's a traumatic event that occurs which tears them apart. Now what they're doing in this story and in their lives is navigating being friends, sort of, being co-parents to 2 children that they absolutely adore, also being co-owners of their lifelong dream of owning a high-end restaurant. There's forced proximity in this story because they're constantly involved in each other's lives, and it's hard to really let somebody go when you see them almost every day. I feel like this slow burn romance is going to be perfect, and it's gonna tug at my heartstrings. Let's jump into this vlog with Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Enjoy. I love them already. I don't think I've read a more beautiful first paragraph of a book. Let me just read it to you. That's my narrator voice. The beginning, Josiah. I forgot to mention that it's dual point of view, so we get Yasmin's perspective and Josiah's. Yay! Again. Do you remember the exact moment they fall in love? Sorry, I think my voice needs to be lower. I do. Yasmin brought me homemade chicken noodle soup when I was so sick it hurt to blink. Tasted like day-old dishwater. Not sure how you mess up chicken noodle soup, but my girl managed it. My girl. My girl. My girl. I gotta keep it together. That was the first paragraph. I am officially on chapter 9, page 88. Sorry, we glanced over my narrator voice for Josiah. I know, that was really good. Thank you. Anyway, let's talk about my first impressions because I have thoughts. I wrote them down on a piece of paper, heavy stuff. With that being said, I think that Kennedy Ryan is doing a wonderful job balancing between those really difficult, traumatic moments and adding in those lighthearted scenes where you can chuckle and giggle a little bit with our characters as well. Two of Yasmin's best friends are going to be in the interconnected standalones, and they're so freaking funny, and I love that Kennedy added those characters into Yasmin's life. 2 years later, Yasmin is finally feeling like she's ready to come out into the world and live life again, and Kennedy Ryan describes that really well, and how grief and depression can alter someone's life, and how it's not just a flip of a switch where you'll be able to get out of bed the next day. Everyone deals with grief and trauma and emotions differently, so I love that the same thing happened to both Josiah and Yasmin, but we're getting both of their point of view so we can empathize with both of them, even though they're feeling things differently and moving through life differently in the same moment. From where I am right now in the story, we do find out what happened to both of our characters and what drove them apart. I love that this story is centered around family because, like I mentioned, Josiah and Yasmin are still a big part of in each other's lives because they have two children, Deja and Kasim. What's kind of funny to me is that he still lives 2 streets down from Yasmin. So, forced proximity, baby. Let's talk about the characters really quickly. I love both of the characters. Josiah is this hot dad who owns a restaurant. How she describes each person and how she describes Josiah is, no pun intended, chef's kiss, because he does own a restaurant and he was a chef at one point at that restaurant. I'm not gonna beat around the bush because this story is centered around motherhood. It's interesting how we're reading from a male's point of view after the loss of a child. I appreciate that we're getting his point of view, and I'm not discrediting a man's feelings or emotions when something like this happens, but you truly can't understand what a mother goes through when something like this happens. You just can't. I don't know how Yasmin feels because I've never been through that experience before, but I feel like a lot of what I've read in past stories on the media, I hear about it from a woman's perspective, and we do get Yasmin's perspective, which is all just so heartbreaking. We're also learning about Josiah's point of view, and as we kind of read back into the past and get snippets of what happens, we learn how he felt about it, how he's feeling about it, and just getting his perspective. And I think that it's done in a really clever way. The plot of this story is all in the present, but since we do have those point of views, we get in their heads as they're thinking about the past and they're remembering those good moments that they had with each other that they are yearning for, but they're also reliving those really difficult and tough moments, which is how we're learning what happened to them. So I think it's written really well because a lot of the stories that I've read, it's mostly just flashbacks to what happened, and we have these dual timelines. But in this story, it's all in the present, but while we're reading from these point of views, we are getting feelings of how they felt back in the past. If that makes sense. It makes sense to me, and I think it's done so differently than what I've read before. So I just wanted to mention that. If it doesn't make sense to you, then I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. My brain is just wired very differently. Yasmin is such a strong and beautiful main character. She's not only a businesswoman, she co-owns the restaurant with Josiah. She is a newly single woman, and she is a mother of 2, and so she's navigating single motherhood while also co-parenting, which is very difficult to do, is what I am realizing, especially when there's forced proximity involved and especially when there's a business involved. It's just all of these tricky situations that she's having to deal with, and I am obsessed with reading from her point of view more so than Josiah. But I love those moments that Yasmin isn't sure of herself and she's still really insecure, even though she's starting to put one foot in front of the other and starting to get back into her community. She doesn't think that she's good enough, and reading from Josiah's point of view, even though he's dating somebody that I don't want to get into, oh, that makes me so mad. He still sees her as this beautiful, beautiful woman. And he, at one point, says he describes her as this fierce and protective mother, especially towards their children, Deja and Kasim. And I could not agree more. A lot of this story is about motherhood, not just with what happened in the past, but also what's happening with the relationship between Deja and Yasmin. Deja is 13 years old and she is just a freaking brat. I don't have a 13-year-old, but if some kid talked to me the way that Deja is talking to Yasmin, I would either go in a hole and cry or stick up for myself. Honestly, probably the first thing, because children are mean and scary. There's so much that Yasmin is dealing with. I just love how it's being portrayed and told. This is a romance, but I would mostly say it's a woman's fiction story with romance in it. I want to say one more thing. Writing style. It's so articulate and descriptive, going into detail about what the characters are wearing from each person's point of view and how they're feeling towards what they're wearing. And it's just, woo! It's such a slow burning, unresolved love and passion that they have for each other, and I'm here for it. I love second chance romances, but my one thing is that I have to wait for them to be together. I have to wait for that moment, but I know that makes it extra special. I'm waiting for that one stolen kiss that leads to another. That's what I'm waiting for. All right, talk to you later. Off with this day. We must go. Speaking of mothers, Mother's Day is coming up, and I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Ana Luisa. If you haven't heard of Ana Luisa, they craft high-quality jewelry pieces at very affordable prices, starting at $39. They have everything from necklaces to rings, bracelets to earrings. They cater to all, with jewelry from statement pieces to everyday wear. Jewelry is such a big form of personal expression, and I can confidently say that with Ana Luisa, you'll find a piece, or 2, or 5, that fits your mother's tastes perfectly. There's a few reasons as to why I love Ana Luisa. It's jewelry made to last. Their pieces are quality that won't go out of style. Their pieces are guaranteed to have made out of safe metals, hypoallergenic, and tarnish resistance, which is why I wear my pieces day in and out. Something that's really important to me as a consumer is making sure that the brands I support share the same values that I do. I am happy to say that Ana Luisa is committed to sustainable practices by minimizing their carbon footprint by being both carbon neutral and climate neutral certified. When Mother Nature is happy, then I'm happy. There's 3 things that I don't leave the house without: my phone, my comfort read, and then my rings. You'll never see me out in the wild without my rings on because I feel bare without them. Today I am wearing the Adriana set. It is a set of 3 14-karat gold on brass, each styled uniquely. As with all jewelry, you're able to mix and match, but I chose this set specifically because I wanted to maybe wear 1 ring at a time or all 3, making this set very versatile, and it still matches with all of the other jewelry pieces that I specifically own. My favorite ring that I've been obsessed with as of late, and I'm so glad that Ana Luisa gifted this to me because I've been eyeing it for some time. It is the Amara Mother of Pearl ring. It's a 14-karat gold on brass with a mother of pearl and a cubic zirconia in the middle. It's the perfect signet ring that can be styled on its own or as a statement piece or with other pieces to add some extra boldness to it. Mother of pearl signifies protection, resilience, and the divine femininity, all characteristics that make up a mother. Click the description box down below to find your gift starting at $39. And thank you so much to Ana Luisa for sponsoring this video. I love Ana Luisa and I hope you can find something from them that you can love too. Now let's get back into this video. I finished Before I Let Go and I loved it. It's so good. It's so beautiful. Normally when it comes to a romance story, whether it be a rom-com or a contemporary romance, I'm a little hesitant when stories are over 350 pages because I get worried that it's going to be too long and they're dragging things out and when there needs to be an end. But this was 384 pages of everything came together by the end of the story, and it felt very full circle to both of our characters. Yes, because it's a second chance romance and they do find their love by the end of it, but how they got there was very different, and we took a few different paths and turns to get to the end of the story and have our Josiah and Yasmin moment together with their happily ever after. And that might be a spoiler, but come on guys, it's a romance. Something else that I noted about our characters is that I love that they are not perfect. They're very flawed individuals, and I think that that's what makes this book so relatable, that people can pick up as long as they do check the trigger warnings. Both of our characters go through huge changes from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. I loved Josiah's character arc. I think that as a man, it was really interesting to get his side of his life and how he's feeling, but also navigating therapy as someone who didn't think that therapy was needed for him was such an interesting route to take for a character. And I love that by the end of it, he really opens up to Yasmin. And I have so many things that I could say about Yasmin. She is such a strong, powerful woman. Everything that she's gone through, it's indescribable. There were so many moments in this book where I just wanted to give her a big hug and not let her go. There were so many moments where I just wish Josiah would just drop everything and just give her a hug. I know that they're divorced, but she just needed a hug, and I was willing to jump into this book and give her that hug. I love everything about her that she embodies. Remember when I told you how the book had started? It started from Josiah's point of view, where he says, "Do people remember the exact moment they fell in love? I do." Well, the book ends. Let me just read it to you. "Do people remember the exact moment they fall in love? I've learned it's not one moment, but a million of them." first impressions have turned into a, let me tell you how I feel about this book when I'm almost 50% done with it. I got the audiobook from Libby, which is why I've been listening to it mostly. I'm flying by. She just knows how to write about a powerful woman, a woman who has insecurities, but also a woman who's sure of herself. And I love that in this book, Soledad stands up for herself and what she believes in. She stands up for her children. She stands up for what she wants in life. And I love that. Let's backtrack. Immediately, the book starts off with Judah, the main male character, saying, wait for it, 1 second. I'm sure I loved her once, and she loved me. Immediately, I want to know more. And I love that Kennedy Ryan has 2 times now started off the story from the male's point of view and given us a first sentence that makes us go, no, tell me more. I need to know more. Loving Judah as a main male character. I was a little unsure at first because he doesn't know our main female character, Soledad. And I know Soledad as if we're BFFs because I read a little bit about her in Before I Let Go. So I was already connected to her, but not to him. But I'm really liking him as a main male character. He's quiet. He's a little standoffish, but he's so caring. He's more soft-spoken for a male, and he shows love and affection through his actions, which is what I personally love. We get a glimpse into his life. He is a father of 2 kids who are autistic and has a very amicable relationship with his ex-wife. They're very tag team. They co-parent, very similar to Josiah and Yasmin. We get a glimpse of what life is like having to take care of children with autism. Kennedy Ryan has, I believe, a son who is autistic as well, so she's done her research and has personal experience. And in the author's note, she talks about how she wanted to show this experience that she's had lovingly and help represent it in the right way. We start the book off so freaking action-packed, it felt like. Soledad is our main female character, who's also one of Yasmin's best friends, and she has a very shitty, crappy husband, Edward. Edward is on my shit list. You thought I didn't like Vashti, but no, Vashti's fine. Vashti is cool and great, and we love her now because Edward freaking sucks. I don't want to spoil the situation and what basically spirals and ruins Soledad's life and her kids' life, but something big happens that Edward gets involved in. 2 things, multiple things, and I want to punch him in the face. Don't worry, justice will be served. Now, this is a story about Soledad finding love again and finding herself again first. I'm halfway through the story and there's barely any romance that we're seeing between Soledad and Judah, and I actually like that. This is a woman's fiction story that's centered around finding yourself. A very eat, pray, love moment for Soledad. She now has to juggle taking care of 3 of her children while finding ways to make money, and she gets a job in social media. She's an influencer now, and it's a little funny to me because as an influencer in real life, it's interesting reading about other influencers in books. Okay, I'm not like a real influencer, even though I am. I can't deny it. I am a book influencer, I would like to think, since I am here on YouTube and Instagram. Anyway, Soledad is now finding ways how she can take all of her passions in life and what she's good at and monetize it, because she needs to support her children through school, through their sports. She needs to get them through college. It's basically her doing it all. In this book, Soledad does go to therapy, and her therapist helps her discover this concept of self-partnering. And I never actually heard of that term before or put a word to the concept, because we know the idea of self-love. We know the idea of choosing to care for ourselves before we can care for others. We have to love ourselves to love other people. And this idea of self-partnering is about not having to rely on other people to feed yourself that love. It's the idea of finding a romantic partner to add to your love, not replace your love. And I love that concept, self-partnering. I think it is such a good feeling to feel, and I don't think that Soledad has ever truly felt that way. The audiobook is flying by, and I'm having a really good time. I'm gonna finish this in no time at all. I'm interested to see where the romance is gonna take us. Judah and Soledad haven't gone on a date or anything. They are just tiptoeing around each other. I love that I'm reading the series back to back to back. I feel like it's just one long movie with different cutscenes going from one character to the other. It kind of reminds me of the show Girls, but less messy. And I was thinking about this morning. I think that Kennedy Ryan might be one of my favorite authors. I'm saying it now. I've only read 2 of her books, but that doesn't mean I don't want to read her backlog. And I am already excited to read the 3rd book, Can't Get Enough. That is my almost 50% update, my first impressions, my thoughts on this really good book. I finished This Could Be Us, the 2nd book in the Skyland trilogy, and I really enjoyed this story. When I think about Before I Let Go, the 1st book, and this book, I like Before I Let Go more. I think it's because we get more romance in the story. It's plot driven, but also very character driven, and we have more time that we spend between Josiah and Yasmin, which I was there for completely. In this book, this is a love story, but it's more so a love story to yourself. It's a story about self-partnering and self-love with a minor subplot of romance. I wish I would have known that going into it. I don't think it removes the beauty of the story. It's just written differently. The plot is different, but I'm not gonna lie, I wish we had more time that we spent with our characters, Judah and Soledad. I felt like majority of the story was from Soledad's point of view and her finding love for herself again, which at some point, it's like, we get it. You found it. Now let's connect Judah and Soledad together, because I really, really liked them together. And I really love Judah as a main male character, and I wish we got more points of view from him and more of his story woven into here. I felt like it was a little bit left out since we were focusing more so on Soledad. Some of it could have been written differently, but it doesn't mean that this story wasn't beautiful, and it doesn't mean that I didn't appreciate it and enjoy it. Less dramatic after the beginning and from my first update that I gave you. The beginning though, I was on the floor, jaw dropped. I was like, wow, this is a crazy way to start a romance book. Regardless, I love this story a lot. I am a true believer that you have to love yourself before you can love someone else, and anyone can love you in return. So this really spoke to that, and I appreciate that. Also, women are amazing. We are fan-frickin-tastic. Mothers are amazing, and don't forget to shop at Luisa and get your mother something special. We are 2 for 2 right now, and I'm sure I'm gonna love Can't Get Enough. Let's read Hendrik's story. Hello, I am finally here to give you my first impressions of Can't Get Enough, the third book in the Skyland series. Today is Friday, work is finally over. Well, this scene right here, this situation is Friday for me. I don't know what day it is for you. I am officially 26% of the way through. The book actually comes out on May 13th, so I'm glad that I can give you a spoiler-free review and my thoughts without spoiling anything, obviously. I can let you know before you get your hands on it. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I really was always interested in Hendrix' story. Hendrix is the third girly pop in the friend group. Hendrix works in the entertainment world. She is, I think, a manager for different famous people. I know that she helped manage Soledad with her influencer business. So Hendrix is pretty well known and she's well off. Outside of work, she's just fiercely independent. She's loyal, she's funny. We love Hendrix as a main female character. What I think personally stands out compared to Soledad and Yasmin is that Hendrix doesn't have children and Hendrix doesn't want kids. She wants to live a child-free life. I really like how this story is centered around a character who doesn't want kids. In today's society, we're finally talking about how normal that should be. Just because you have kids doesn't mean you're better than adults who don't have kids either. It's not that work comes first for her. She really fiercely believes that family and friends also come first. She just wants to live life without kids and she really enjoys the life that she has at the moment. Our main male character, his name is Maverick, and this is not a spoiler either. He is a tech mogul and they end up meeting at a party. That's all I'm gonna say with how they met. He is falling first and he is falling hard. There's this forbidden romance that I'm starting to see as well between the two, and I'm not going to tell you why, but it's really heating things up and you can tell that there is big tension, big tension. Hendrix and Maverick are trying to keep things professional and not take it to any other level, but we can tell it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. As with any other Kennedy Ryan story, I say that as if I've read her entire backlog. From what I've read so far, all of her stories have an emotional element to it. This story centers around a family member who has Alzheimer's. So keep that in mind if you are planning on reading this book. I don't know what it is, but I feel like based on all these spring releases, they're centered around grief and memories. Say You'll Remember Me, Promise Me Sunshine, and then now we have this book. I feel like there's a theme with spring 2025. I don't know why these authors are trying to break our hearts. Here we are though. Let's talk about the writing style. I am really enjoying it. This book, even though I'm reading it on the Kindle, it is over 400 pages, so it's significantly larger than the first two books in the Skyland series, but I'm not finding it to be dragging on either. Those are my first impressions and I'm having a really good time. Out of all of the characters, I feel like I can connect to Hendrix more so than I can with Soledad or Yasmin since I don't have children and right now the world that I live in is surrounded by booktube, my full-time job, my husband, and my dogs. However, Before I Let Go is still my favorite out of the ones that I've read so far. So we'll see how I feel after I finish Can't Get Enough, and we'll see if I just can't get enough and if it's going to be number one in this series. I finished Can't Get Enough and I could not get enough. It's by far my favorite out of the trilogy. If I had to rank the series, now that I've read all 3 of them, it would be Can't Get Enough, so Hendrik's story, Before I Let Go, Yasmin's story, and then This Could Be Us, Soledad's story. They were all wonderful in their own ways, but Before I Let Go and Can't Get Enough both get a 5 stars from me. I just really love Hendrix as a main character, and I see a lot of similarities between her and me. We're both very goofy and spunky, or at least I would like to think that I am, and very charismatic. I mentioned this already, but a subplot for Hendrix's story is that she has to take care of her mom, who is declining in health due to Alzheimer's, and Kennedy Ryan, in all 3 of her stories, she does such a delicate job of providing research-based storytelling for these health situations, and you can tell that she put a lot of thought and effort into this. Very similar, Abby Jimenez did the same exact thing. I think that there's a lot of similarities between both Kennedy Ryan and Abby Jimenez. So if you love Abby Jimenez's stories and you love her as an author, I would give Kennedy Ryan a shot. I am shocked that I waited this long, but I got to her and now I want to read her entire backlog. This story is really character driven between both Hendrix and Maverick, and it's interesting to see that dynamic between the two because they're both very powerful people in business, and I really liked that aspect of this because Hendrix has always been so driven and independent, and she hasn't dated in a long time, and she doesn't really know how to find that balance because she doesn't want to give up her career, and she shouldn't have to for a man. Maverick is the perfect main male character. He's just so intentional with Hendrix, and if he wants to see her, he's gonna let her know. He is very communicative. They both are with one another, and that's so important in a relationship. And what I like about Maverick is that his love language is acts of service, so he shows it. He shows that he wants her, and it's so good. Very swoon-worthy, very swoon-worthy. Oh my gosh. There's one line that he says to her, and he just says, "Let's be good to each other." And that seems so normal. That just seems like any other line that you would hear, a sentence that you would hear from somebody. Like, oh yeah, obviously everyone should be good to each other. Duh. Like, we need to be good to each other. But the way he says it, here's my Maverick voice. Let's be good to each other. How's that? Bad? Good? I'll try one more time. Let's be good to each other. I think that was the same. While we're here, I'm going to rank the characters, my favorite to least favorite. We'll start with our female main characters, Hendrix, Yasmin, Soledad. I think that's that makes sense. Those order of books that I enjoyed. Okay, if we're gonna do the main male characters, it's gonna be a little bit different. Maverick, Judah, and then Josiah. I really just like these characters. I want to read these books again. And I think it's because Kennedy Ryan creates adult characters in a realistic way that just makes my heart go pitter patter. Now that I've read all 3 stories, I feel like there's quite a few similarities between the 3, and they're all centered around powerful independent women, women's rights, family, friendship. We also have nods to a little bit of faith. The romance is spicy, and all of this is written in such a powerful narrative, and Kennedy Ryan has blown me away. I also really just love our trio of gals, our girly pops. I love that, yes, these are interconnected standalones, but these characters show up in each story, so we get a little bit of them in each of the books, complementing our main character of that story, and it's just written so beautifully. I could go on and on, but we do need to end this video. So, if you can't tell, I really loved reading the Skyland trilogy and I highly recommend. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my rants and yaps. I will see you in another video next week. Have a great day. Bye.